Ambassadors. This is your not so haggard, not so tired MC or host for this afternoon, Miss Cash.
And I'm unaware of what is happening, Miss Jade Domingo.
All right. So, welcome back, Miss Jade.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we had this podcast.
Yeah, since we've had the recording session.
Yes, and I know you're waiting for this. Some of you actually, just to share, there's this one student who mentioned that she is actually listening to our podcast.
Aww.
And she wanted to be part of the podcast as well.
Aww.
Yes, that's so
we'll be
sweet.
opening it to students. I think pretty soon. I think after a few more episodes, after
Yes.
we get established. We also have. I also have one student from you. Shout out to Nina Sichon from UMS. She reached out via our email.
Yeah. Wow.
Sent us a message. She listened to our first episode. So yeah, hopefully soon with a few approvals that we need to get, we'll be able to have students to talk to here on our podcast.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear that students are really listening and into podcast as well. And I believe we have students who are doing podcasts also. They have their own podcast. And yeah, if they wanted to like collaborate with us, that could be helpful as well for us, no?
Yes.
Yes, Mom Jade. How are you, or how do you do?
That's a loaded question, and I am offended.
No,
By the
sorry.
way, if you hear like screaming and horns going in the background, we are behind us is currently happening the basketball games of grade 11 students. So do not be alarmed by the screaming. I'm fairly well. February has been a mixed month. It hasn't. Of course, you can't always have good days, but it's been quite busy with the start of the new semester, adjusting to new topics and to my new subject, adjusting to, I don't know how, but somehow the students are also new, even though they were the same students last semester. Maybe because it's a new subject, and the expectations of them are different, and their expectations of me are also different. So
Yes.
it's been a mixed month of just a few ups and downs. On a more personal note, I now have a medical mystery. I got really dizzy a few, I think towards the end of January. I got really dizzy, so I had to go to the doctor, and they checked everything. They checked my eyes, they checked my up my nose, they checked inside my ears. We still don't know what's wrong. And then I now have a tingling, sort of not numbing, but pins and needles in my face. You know, if you sit
Yeah.
on your arm, or if you
Like you
sit
rested for a long
for a
time.
long time, and then suddenly it gets like pins and
Yeah.
needles. Yeah, that's happening to my face. It happens to my face sometimes. So we're just sort of looking for a doctor. We're just waiting for a doctor to come in and say, hey, do these tests.
Yes. So there's no diagnosis yet.
No
about
diagnosis
it.
yet, but hopefully our doctor will come back to us with some results, or at least a referral to what we can do. So yeah, I can be on Grey's Anatomy now. So
Hold my knife. A
Yeah,
knife,
hold
no.
my-
Not really the knife, but what do you call it? I'm sorry, I forgot the term. Yeah,
Scalpel, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and just to give our audience or listeners some ideas, we don't have any guests for now.
Yes.
Because I personally picked you, Miss Jade, to interview or somehow have this chit chat or talk about because it's February, and what we are going to share is love.
Yes.
It's all about love.
Yes.
But it is not just the romantic type of love, because we don't want to really focus on that, because you students, you're still kids. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There will be time for romance later on in life.
Yes, there will be a perfect time for that. But it's more on self-love, self-preservation, because I believe that's what our students need to hear. And yeah, it's more on validation. Actually, this topic is in line with CEL.
Yes.
I believe our students are aware about it, the project itself, and we can connect this one on that project as well. So I have prepared questions here. You can use the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
You can plead the fifth.
But we're not in America, so pleading the fifth. What is the fifth? We don't. I think right to own land.
Okay. I'm sorry.
If I remember the Filipino Constitution correctly,
It's
but
different.
Yeah, it's different. But yeah, okay. I'll just use that as an idiomic expression. I plead the
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If you're not that comfortable in sharing, since this is a public matter already, if you're not that comfortable in sharing, that's fine. I prepared 6 questions. I believe 5 questions here, and I'm going to ask also for your thoughts about lines or quotations as well.
Okay.
So first question, ma'am, is what's your idea about self-love and self-preservation?
Self-love and self-preservation were two very foreign concepts to me up until I think just last year, really. And I thought I knew what loving myself was. And then I always tell people I got sick. But I got sick in a different way. I got diagnosed with maybe we should put up like a little trigger warning if people aren't ready to hear matters like this. You can stop now. No one will fault you for not listening to the rest of the episode. But if you want to learn more about like personal experiences, and of course me and Miss Kesh, we're not professionals in this field, but from someone who has experienced it and has been to that very dark part of their life, hopefully you'll learn something. No? I was diagnosed with depression around my birthday, around the time of my 27th birthday, and that kicked off a series of events that affect me to this day. And it's been almost 2 years, but there are still ramifications of my actions, of my treatment, of the things I've said and done to the people I love. So when I was diagnosed, I had a really different idea of what self-love meant, because I always thought self-love would be this, that it came naturally. I love myself. I don't have to be told to love myself. I don't have to change anything that I'm doing, because self-love is innate. And that was sort of damaging in a way, because it took one of my friends telling me to be nicer to myself for me to realize that I wasn't loving myself in the way that you should. And self-love and self-preservation go hand in hand, because the more you learn to love yourself, the more you learn to preserve yourself. The more you learn to preserve all the good things about you. And it came to a head, sort of. The triggering moment was then I was going out with one of my friends, and she told me, you have to learn to be nicer to yourself. And I was like, no, I'm nice to myself. I always buy things for myself, and I always eat like food I really like, and I always do things for myself. But at some point, that's really not enough, because looking back, there was a time where I didn't like the face looking at myself, looking at me from the mirror. I didn't like the voice I heard in phone calls or recordings. I was just really hating myself. And I don't really know when it started, but the depression started manifesting early 2021. And then I got diagnosed a few months later. I think also the pandemic had a very big effect on it. A lot has changed after that. So yeah, my thoughts on self-preservation and self-love are so much different now, because we often think of self-love as this big act that we need to buy expensive things, we need to eat luxurious food, we need to spend money on ourselves. But the simple act of putting everything aside, reading a book you like, or watching a movie with your friends, or spending time with the people that you like or love, those are acts of self-love in itself. And before I got diagnosed, there was a time I never wanted to do those things. I never wanted to spend time with people. I never wanted to buy things for myself. Shopping became sort of a coping mechanism, but a very wrong coping mechanism, because I'm buying this for myself. This is self-love, but in reality, I don't have use for that thing. And yeah, it became now it's changed that you don't have to do so many things. It doesn't have to be so performative. Self-love doesn't have to be so performative. You don't have to post it online. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, because the way you love yourself is different from the way everybody else loves themselves. And you have to learn that you are uniquely your own person, and that's not a bad thing. So you should love yourself in your unique way. So now it's still a learning process. I'm still learning things that I had to relearn what I liked and didn't like, because for a long time I pretended to like things that other people like, because I was scared of rejection. I was scared that people would discover that I was different. And yeah, being different isn't a bad thing. It's one lesson I share to my students all the time. You are your own person. If you are not jiving, if you are not vibing with your classmates, find another group of friends. Maybe they're in another section. Yeah. So yeah, those are my thoughts on self-love and self-preservation. Just you do you. That's all. You do you. You do what feels right, as long as you're not hurting anyone else.
You don't actually have to pressure yourself.
Yes.
You have to. Love should not be that pressuring to the people.
Yes. Yeah. Even in a relationship, if you feel pressured to love someone else, or to reciprocate certain feelings or actions, get out.
Yes.
Because that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be equal.
Yes.
And it should be as easy as breathing. And that should apply to self-love as well. You should love yourself enough that taking care of yourself is as easy as breathing, that it becomes routine. Yeah.
I like that last part. Honestly, ma'am, it's really hard for me to share this kind of. Oh, I don't want to cry. It's really hard for me to share this kind of topic because I know. You're ready.
I'm ready.
She has
I have
tissue.
tissues.
Because I am not depressed. Okay, I'm not diagnosed with depression or anything. But I know circle of friends. Like the closest one.
Yeah.
Who were diagnosed with depression, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
And they even attempted to. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Again,
It's-
this is a triggering topic already, but I don't want to cry. Yes, and I hope that someday they will find a way to love their life. There's more to life.
Yeah.
The life, it can offer more.
Yeah, that old cliche, if it gets better, it really means a lot when it does
Yeah.
get better. Because you look back, and I am in no way cured. It's that old adage of you're only ever in recovery. And there are still bad days and good days and very bad days that I just sometimes waking up is a burden and it hurts just to breathe, and you can't stand the sun because it persists to shine even if you don't want it to. But yeah, it came to a point where I just said, oh, nothing is stopping the world from going. And when I got help, and I hope everyone who is feeling like this, who feel like they need help, gets the help that they need. Because that's so important. Because if I didn't get help at the time that I did, I don't know where I would be at this point in my life, or if I would even be alive. Because I was at a very dark and just sad and just unfunctional time. I just wasn't functioning as a person anymore. I was just sort of going through the motions. So I hope that I hope your friend gets the help that she needs or he needs.
I do hope to. And when you're saying those nice words, their faces just flashes into my mind. Like I remember them, and I hope they know how much I love them.
Yeah.
It's really hard to lose someone, especially because of that reason.
Yeah.
It's like I haven't I did not do my best as their friends, or am I not enough?
It goes into that territory of was it me? Is it my fault? And of course, we can never really tell. And this is something that they are going through. And it's important to realize if you're not going through this, or you have someone in your life that is going through this, remember that when helping them, it's not about you.
Yes.
I wish I could tell that to some of the people in my life who tried to help, unquote unquote help, but all they really did was made me feel guilty. Depression has this vicious cycle of, especially with me, because I grew up, we were not, I won't say privileged, but we were fairly comfortable. There were a few years of struggle, but we were fairly comfortable, especially through my formative teenage years. So I would say I come from a background of slight privilege, and it's hard for someone like me to accept that I'm depressed, because depression would entail that something's missing. And my parents have provided everything that they could. They put me through college, they are paying for my masters, they still give me an allowance even though I'm working. And it's this vicious cycle of being depressed and then having the people people around you tell you that you shouldn't be depressed because you have everything, and then after that feeling guilty because you're depressed, which adds to the depression. So it's just this vicious cycle of going around and around these emotions, and the guilt and the sadness, and then guilt again because you feel guilty because you're sad. So it gets tiring. So if you want to help someone, good, but always remember, this isn't your journey. This is theirs, and the best thing you can do is help them heal. Get them help professionally. I can't stress that enough. Get them professional help. Even just from the student's point of view, go to the guidance counselor.
Yes.
It's so vital that they talk to someone who understands how to talk to them. And also get help in a sense of talk. Don't just refer them to the guidance counselor, because this is something that happened when I was in therapy. My therapist talked to some of my family members, the people in my house, gave them sort of instructions how to deal with this, because you never know what's going to trigger because what I have come to the point where it's episodic, where I'm okay one day and then something will trigger it, and then then I'll just be out of it for a week. And someone told me, my younger sibling told me this. They told me, it's okay if you're not okay every day, because healing isn't linear.
Yes.
Healing,
I love that part.
Yeah, diba? Healing isn't linear. Healing is not a straight path. Sometimes you will regress and you will go back. And talking about the beginning of February, I really felt that. I really felt the whole regressing and coming back to that place again. But they were supportive. They were there for me, and a lot of times that's the best thing you can do, is just assure them that you're there for them. Because that really helped me. A friend of mine, when she found out I had depression and there was a possibility that they could lose me, she said, I found out I could lose you, and I looked into the future, into a world where you didn't exist, and I didn't like it. And now, see, I'm crying too. This is why I brought tissues, because talking about it really makes you emotional, and that's okay. Being emotional on topics like this means that we're processing it, because I understand the trauma that people around me went through when I was at that point in my life. Because it came to a point when I sent out letters saying goodbye. Yeah, I sent out letters. It was a spur of the moment thing. I really thought I was going to go through with it, and I didn't. Obviously, I'm still here, but there were people who really reached out and said, I cannot handle a world where you aren't in it. So please, and that made me think and stop and say, oh, I'm really being damaging right now, and for all intents and purposes, I was getting help at that time. I was seeing someone, but we only had gotten through a couple of sessions, so it wasn't really that. I hadn't really progressed that much. And now looking back, I really apologize to the people I sent letters to, because that was very traumatizing.
Yes.
And that was very hurtful for them. And I'm not proud enough to say that I wasn't wrong. I was very wrong in doing that. So that's also something that we need to consider when we're feeling like this. A comedian in America said, Pete Davidson, he said that your mental illness does not give you permission to hurt the people around you. And that is such a profound thing because people, I know, unfortunately, I know people who say, oh, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, so that's why I did this to you. I know a person who cheated on their significant other and cited depression as their reason. And
That's
I'm
so
like,
invalid.
that's so invalid. You can't just say that. It's not
It's not an excuse.
it's not an excuse, really. So yeah, if you're gonna be there for someone, be there. Tell them that you're there. And a lot of people say that, oh no, she knows I'm here. They know I'm here even though I don't say it. Say it. We can't read minds, can you? No, so just tell them, verbally tell them through a text, hey, I'm here for you, hey, I'm listening, hey, don't do anything that will hurt the people around you. Because sometimes people just need to realize that, oh, they're being very destructive, and if they are not far enough into that spiral, they'll snap out of it, and they will, hopefully that will trigger them to get help or to get better help, because not all the help we get is the best type of help.
Yes.
Unfortunately. So yeah. Just that's just the first question.
Yeah, that's just the first question. My next question, ma'am, it's not in the list of questions that I prepared, but when did you push yourself to seek help, or what really motivates you to seek help? Professional help, ma'am.
Yeah, looking at the the questions, I think this also answers question number 2, which is were you ever in denial?
Were you ever in denial stage?
That was when I got help when the denial stage ended, which was 6 months after everything started to manifest. And I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I've lost people. There are people who used to be in my life who I thought would be with me through everything, and now they're not anymore. And I don't know and for some of them I know why they're no longer in my life. For some of them I don't know why they just stopped talking to me. But I just sort of, I realized I needed help when my aunt, who, she loves me. I know she loves me. She cares for me, but she's not really big. That whole, there's a generation they're not really big, or they don't really believe in the whole self-love, self-care, mental health thing. She's the one who told me to get help. To have someone who for most of my life didn't believe in depression, didn't believe that depression could be this destructive, to tell me that, hey, you need help. Like, legitimately, you need help. That was an eye-opener, because if she could sense I need help, how come I didn't? How come I didn't see it for myself? So yeah, I found a doctor who understood me. Again, this is a disclaimer, not all doctors or counselors will understand. A lot of them unfortunately are in it for the money, and unfortunately therapy and professional help is very expensive here in the Philippines. But there are you can look it up online. There are free and quite inexpensive alternatives, and really just find someone who is there to help you. So yeah, that's when I stopped denying, because when you're in the denial phase of depression, it's so tiring, because in hindsight, I was, for a very long time, maybe even before 2021, looking back, there were times when I was just pretending to be okay, and and I tell myself, oh, I could win an Oscar for that performance, because it was so, and that became my standard of, oh, I need to go out, I need to see my friends, so let's put on a happy face, and let's make sure everyone isn't suspicious. And then I talked to my therapist, and she said, but um that sort of an effort, because it doesn't come naturally, so you have to put effort into seeming okay and seeming happy, and then suddenly you realize that you're just tired, and then you just cry a lot, first to yourself, and then in public, and then in front of your friends. There was a lot of days where I would just cry, because there was a lot of sadness within me that I didn't know how to deal with. And yeah, that sort of jump started the whole seeking help, when my aunt told me, you need help because you've been crying for a week. My birthday just finished. I just turned 27, and for all intents and purposes, your birthday is supposed to be like a happy time.
Yes.
You're supposed to you're supposed to celebrate. You're supposed to be happy. It's supposed to be a very happy time for you. But I wasn't happy. Up until last year, 2022, I dreaded my birthday because it sort of marked an anniversary, and I didn't want to celebrate. That anniversary was really something I didn't want to celebrate. But yeah, in a way, I should celebrate it because it's sort of the time where I accepted and sought help, stopped sort of denying that there was something wrong, that I needed to. And it goes back to that whole background of privilege, that how can I be depressed if I have this and this and that. But in reality, even if you're as rich as the richest man in the world, if hormones are imbalanced, if your brain isn't working the right way, if you go through so much trauma, that really affects you. And everyone has the capacity to heal, and they just need that nudge, they just need that help. So maybe if someone here is listening, let this be your sign, let this be your nudge to get help.
Yes, please.
Yes.
And please do not take your life away from us.
Yes. I'm going to say what my friend said. I don't want to wake up in a world lacking another friendly face. I don't want to wake up in a world lacking another soul. Because no matter if we've met or not, your loss is still a loss. No matter how many people in the world there are, one loss due to depression is still too much of a loss.
Yes.
And I really wish that a lot of people are hearing this, and a lot of people would have heard this. Because I have friends and unfortunately students. It's hard as a teacher,
students,
when you hear that, oh, this student unfortunately lost the battle and she's not with us, or they're not with us anymore. And that's hard as a teacher to take, because we don't have kids, and they're just, so hopefully whoever's listening to this, this jump starts their drive to get help.
Yes. And ending your life will never be a solution to your problem. But was it really hard to accept that you're to be diagnosed with depression. And like it's clinically diagnosed. It's not self-diagnosed, but clinically diagnosed.
Yeah, because I saw a doctor for it. I didn't say a psychiatrist. To be clear, you see a psychologist. I don't know if I'm getting this. A psychiatrist, they're the ones who administer medication.
Yes.
They can diagnose you, then administer medication. And then I saw a psychologist because I didn't want to go the medicated route, because if you don't know, the medication for depression, one of the side effects is depression.
Yeah.
So it's just essentially stopping you from feeling
Yes.
feeling sad, but in reality you're just sort of a calmer sad. So that's, I didn't want to go the medicated route first, so I found a psychologist, and she was there was a time when she wanted to refer me to a psychiatrist because it was clear, sort of, she told me, I don't think you're getting the help you need from me. Maybe we should see a psychologist. And I asked her if maybe we can try a few more sessions. So that's also when I because up to like the third session, I was still in a little bit of denial. I was getting help, but I was still in a little bit of denial because, again, why would I be depressed? I was living 2021 for the most part was quite a good year for me, and then everything happened and I was diagnosed, and so the first 3 sessions were not that helpful. And then when she told me that maybe you need to be medicated, that's when I really realized, I need to get better. I need to really work on this, because it's no longer a matter of just going online, because I had online sessions. Going online, talking to someone for an hour or so, and then it was a matter of taking a pill every day. And I don't know if you noticed from like my medical mystery at the beginning of this episode, I'm already taking so many medication. I have medication for my vertigo, my PCOS, my headaches, my heart, because I have this inborn heart thing, and I didn't want to take one more pill. That was that's where I stood. That's where I drew the line and said, okay, we really need to work on this. And then when we started working on it, and I was cleared to now I have sessions about every 6 months just to check in. But for the first year, it was almost every month. For the first 6 months, it was twice a month. So it was just going, and I changed counselors as well through that. The first 6 months it was one person, and then another person in the next 6 months, and then now I'm just sort of, it's just some checkups, and then if I really need to talk to someone, I would send an email, and they'll set up an urgent session with me. But essentially it's maintaining. If you get cleared to stop therapy, you don't stop therapy. You maintain, you check up every once in a while to just help get better. Because I don't know where I would be if I didn't jump at that chance to get therapy.
Yeah. And what are the contributing factors that made you feel that way?
I have very low self-esteem. I laugh about it now, and it's also sort of a running joke with me. I have very low self-esteem, and I think that's no secret. And I have a hard time processing emotions. I grew up in a very repressed household. I grew up in a very sort of conservative household, so it was hard to be expressive and and sort of sometimes I couldn't be myself. And I also I don't blame them, but I also had friends that they're not really supportive of negative emotions. They weren't really supportive of negative emotions. And suffice to say, I don't really hang out with them anymore. And these were my friends since high school. These were my friends since for 15 years, and before I cut ties with them because it wasn't healthy anymore. So growing up in that environment where you don't know how to process your feelings, you don't know how to gain support or validate yourself, that's a big contributing factor, as well as I have PCOS, which causes hormonal imbalances. So sometimes every month I like to play a game. Is this depression or am I just hormonal? Sometimes it's both. So yeah, I have PCOS. If you don't know, stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome. I have cysts in my ovaries. I'm taking my pills for that. It's really not a huge deal, but yeah. And that, plus my inability to manage emotions, plus the fact that I wasn't really getting the validity and the support that I needed. I think those were the main contributing factors as to what developed the depression, and as to how it manifested. It really was just triggered. At the beginning of 2021, something happened that really, I don't want to go into detail, but it really triggered I would say that was the trigger for my depression, because that's when the crying started. That was when the feeling unworthy, the feeling unloved started. And every now and then I still feel that way. Shout out to my friends who go out of their way. To anyone listening who feels unloved, find yourself people who will part hell and high water to make you feel loved.
Wow.
Because I am so lucky I have those people in my life now. I have people in my life who will shout out to Sir Vince, who sends me memes every day to consistently every day to make us laugh. And just sometimes, I don't know, I've told him this. I tell him, hey, you don't know how much I was having a bad day, but then you sent me a meme, so that lifted me up for a second. I have friends who made me playlists with the title, with titles like "If You're Feeling Down," for when you're not feeling okay. Hey Jade, which is a play on Hey Jude from the Beatles, because I love the Beatles. So yeah, it's just find yourself people who will validate your feelings, who will talk to you about your feelings, but also have boundaries wherein you, because whatever you put out in the world, someone will carry that.
Yes.
Also have boundaries, that not to share too much, and make sure that the person you're talking to is ready to carry that burden with you. Because again, that when I sent out those letters, I am fully aware and I fully take accountability for the trauma and the burden that those letters took. That the toll it took on their mentality, on their emotions. I have apologized to them, and it's okay if they're not willing to forgive me yet, because that finding out that you may lose someone you love,
Yes. Because of that
it's a lot of it's a lot of it takes a lot from me.
Yes.
So yeah, I think those are those are the most contributing factors. Sometimes you're just hormonal, and sometimes you just don't know how to deal with a certain emotion, and sometimes it just gets triggered because I don't want to go too much in detail, but there are events, there are people very close to me that sometimes trigger my emotions, that sometimes trigger those negative feelings, those negative thoughts, and I wish I was exaggerating when I say that the very essence and presence of some people make me want to crawl back into my dark cave.
There's this certain people who
Yeah.
make you feel that way as well.
Yeah, because the ugliest side for me, the most painful part of what I went through was losing people I didn't expect I would lose. And I don't know how, and I don't know why. Maybe they couldn't handle it, but which is okay. If you are in a position where you are trying to support someone with a mental illness, but you aren't equipped, you aren't ready, you can't take it, you feel like you'll only damage, exit.
Yes.
But talk to them first. Because the people who exited my life just ran. They just went away. They didn't talk to me. I still don't know why some people aren't talking to me. I still don't know why some quote-unquote friends aren't my friends anymore. And mind you, some of these people have been my friends for 10, 15, 20 years since elementary school. And now they're just that old song, somebody that I used to know.
I see.
Yeah, and it hurts. There are no words for the pain of a friend who grew without you.
Yes.
And that pain of having to accept that, oh, they are much happier without me in their life. And I can see how much happier they are. It triggers you. If I think about it too long, it triggers me because I feel as though I was the one holding them back. But I know and I love myself enough to say that no, it wasn't me. Maybe my leaving just triggered their growth, and that's okay. Sometimes people grow in different directions. It doesn't mean that they don't have to grow, that they will never grow back together. And if they don't grow back together, that's okay too. It means that they weren't meant to grow with each other. It means that they were impeding each other's growth. And in a life where you can only do so much, growth is one of the best things you can do. So yeah, I used to talk about these people and cry a lot, but now I'm okay. I realize that they needed to grow without me, and I have grown without them. And if someday we grow back together, this will not be a blemish on that. I will accept them. But yeah, they are not obligated to come back. Because it's so hard to grow.
But do you have any hard feelings for them? Especially for those people or friends, so-called friends, that didn't even say goodbye or explain why they leave?
I was talking to Miss Zay about this a few days ago, and I said, there is no more anger. Because at first, you get angry.
Yeah, of course.
Because, what happened? Especially people who promised to be there, people who promised that growing up never meant growing apart. But here, hey, where are we now? There was resentment and a certain level of anger. I was so angry and sad and heartbroken. And then I started forgiving and realizing that maybe it's not that they didn't want to be friends with me anymore. It's just that what I'm doing is triggering something in them, so they need to step away from me because they need to keep themselves healthy and they need to keep themselves happy, and that's okay. I have There's a little bit of resentment. I'm not gonna lie. There's still a little bit of resentment because I'm not perfect and I'm still hurting. And the loss of that person, it's one thing to grieve someone who has passed away, and it's a whole other thing to grieve a person who's still alive.
Yes.
Yes.
It's really hard.
Diba? It's so hard. But yeah, I realized that if this is the direction we're going, if you need to step away from me to keep yourself healthy, to keep yourself happy, who am I to deter you from being healthy and happy when I'm the one seeking healthiness and happiness myself? So just go, you do you, and I'll be here if you need me. There's part of me that still wishes maybe one day, but
Like there could be a reconciliation.
yeah, but if there is no more chance, no more hope, I would still glad, as long as I know they're okay, they're happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to for like let go of people.
Yeah,
It's really
'cause,
hard.
For someone like me, people are my they're my anchor.
Yeah.
I'm not much of an extrovert, but a lot of it was the people around me that got me through the worst of it. And so losing people, it was really hard. But yeah, you learn and you grow and you get through it, and you help, you you give them a chance to learn and grow and get through it. And if you're the one impeding and stopping that growth, it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay not to be there for them because they need to grow too. You're not a YouTuber said this. You are only responsible for your own ecosystem.
Yes.
So if
That's
my
the thing
ecosystem is messing up your ecosystem, I would gladly step away. But I do wish there was some kind of closure and some kind of explanation. That's all I want.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, I really
And-
like that part. And when you were diagnosed with depression, have you ever overcome it, or like at this point in your life?
I would say
Do we have a cure for depression?
I would say overcoming is sort of a big term.
Yes.
So such a generalized term. I would say I'm in a better place. I'm no longer in a place where I was at the start, where it was just crying and sadness and just you could really tell I was depressed. And I hope that everyone here, or everyone who is listening to this, realizes that there is no pressure to overcome. There is no pressure to get better at a certain timeline, because you are the master of your own timeline. You control how you get better, but also remember that it's not always, if you get the help you need and if you are moving on, it's not always going to be this bad. I can't say I've fully overcome it because there are bad days and very bad days, but I can say that I am through the worst of it. I am better. I am getting better. I'm getting the help I need and the support that I once craved. And even thinking now, I have people in my mind that their faces pop up whenever I say I have people who love me and are generally just concerned about me getting better. And if you don't have that support system, I promise you will find it. And if not, support yourself. It's hard. It will get harder before it gets easier. I know for me it was harder before it got easier. But I really want people to understand that there is no pressure to overcome. There is no pressure to get better. You have your own timeline.
Yes.
Healing isn't linear.
Yeah, you heal at your
You
own
heal
pace.
at your own pace, and if you regress, that is not a failure.
Yes.
That is not an indication that you have failed or that therapy isn't working or you're not getting the right help. It just means that you had a bad day. And having a bad day doesn't mean that you are bad. Having a bad day doesn't mean you are going to have a bad life after this. Just keep on keeping on. So yeah, I can't say I have overcome this, but I have gone through the worst and I've survived, and people who are much stronger than me will survive, will go through,
Yes.
or will come through.
And some people actually, for those people who are now in the better place, no, they consider this as a miracle, because not everyone really come at this point where they feel better.
Yeah.
They're okay after going through that scenario or part of their life.
A lot of people say that, when you get, like I was saying, when you get cleared not to have monthly sessions anymore, they believe, I never have to go back through to therapy, and that's when relapses and regression comes in, wherein because you're not getting the help you need. Because unfortunately, I've read and I've heard of people, and I know some people who they got the help they need. They thought they were better. They stopped going to therapy, and then they came back. And unfortunately, some of them couldn't be saved. They were lost forever. And it's about maintaining. It's about doing the exercises, because for certain types of therapy you get exercises. I remember one was breathing. I just had to learn how to breathe for a second. One was I had to list all of the things I was thankful for, and all of the things that I needed, that I was looking forward for. I have pictures of people who are important to me, things, my pets, they're posted. Addie, my baby Addie. Yeah. One thing I learned is that you really also have to have hobbies. Because they distract you from. Now I'm turning my hobby into a business.
Like a diversion, right?
Yeah, because it's a diversion. So when I got diagnosed and I started these exercises, okay, find a hobby. Find something that you will do that your mind doesn't need to run all the time, that you can do on autopilot. That maybe, yes, you think, because one of my hobbies is Dungeons and Dragons, of course you think, but you're not thinking about anything else. You're just being a player. You're just focusing on something you're doing, and what you're doing is something you love, and that's an amazing thing to just do for yourself. Like I said before, it's a part of self-love to just do things that you love. I remember one of my friends, she said, we had this self-care thing at work. So I went to a spa, got a massage, and I hated every second of it because I don't like people touching me. And I said, Was that your idea of self-love? No, I saw it in a magazine. No, let's not believe the magazines and capitalism. What do you want to do? What do
Yes.
you enjoy doing? Oh, I just want to watch my Korean dramas and eat a bowl of popcorn. Then that's your version of self-love.
Yes.
You don't have to invalidate, because there is this, unfortunately, I've because of popular culture, we often invalidate ourselves because, oh, popular culture says this, popular culture says that, capitalism says this, capitalism says that, and so you turn out invalidating yourself because you are not at one, or you do not conform to popular culture, or the uniformity of everyone else. So yeah, I have a friend, his self-love is boxing. Yeah, if your self-love is getting beat up by someone else, that's another psychological thing that I don't want to deal with right now. But yeah, you can do that because he loves just being in the ring and exercising and just play, because he does it with the whole padding thing, so it's a little safe. But yeah, that's his idea of self-love, and who are we to invalidate
Yes.
that?
Again, you do you.
Yeah, you do you. For a long time, the Dungeons and Dragons thing, I kept it a secret because I'm already nerdy on the best day. I didn't want to be queen nerd here, and then I found people like Sir Rain and a couple of other people like Sir Vince who were generally interested in just playing with me, and yeah, I that was our idea of self-love.
Yes.
Of playing video games and board games and card games and just enjoying company of others. Yeah, just we sort of went on a tangent. But yeah, if that's your idea of self-love and that's what you need to overcome and get through, you do you.
Yes.
You don't need to conform to other people's ideas of getting through and healing and getting better, because sometimes the toxic positivity is just that, toxic.
Yes.
And I think that was another contributing factor wherein I always told myself, no, I can get through this. I just need to be positive. But sometimes being positive isn't enough. Sometimes being positive is what drives you to be sadder, because it's again that cycle of guilt where, why am I not happy? I should be positive. Why am I not positive? I should be positive because everything that's happening is positive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're just left there not processing your own feelings because you chose to be positive
It's really
instead
hard
of
when you're like battling with yourself. Yeah.
and that's one of the hardest things about depression is it's you.
You are your own enemy.
You can't blame anyone else. You can't fight anyone else. If I could have if someone came to me and said, I have a machine that would separate the depressed version of you and the happy, okay, bright and shiny version of you, I would take that chance and then kick my depressed self. But it's not. There is no machine. There is no magic. You only have yourself, and you only have to fight with yourself, and sometimes those battles are lost, and you just need a day where you stay in bed and just feel your feelings, and that's okay too. But after that, you get up, you talk to someone, because if you keep stewing, if you keep rendering in that negativity, in that emotion, that's when things get dangerous. So yeah, I cannot stress enough how much you just sometimes just need to feel your feelings.
Yes, feel your feelings.
Yeah.
And also, just an additional to that, try something new. There's nothing wrong in doing that. Try something new, and if it's not really for you, at least you tried. It's like discovering yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Finding out that you like certain things that aren't as common, or that aren't as that you were stopping yourself from doing because it wasn't really the fad, or it wasn't really the trend. That's how I discovered or rediscovered my love for arts and crafts.
Okay.
I was talking to Ma'am Sha about this, like, in the summer. Ma'am Sha and I share a love for arts and crafts, like polymer
Yes.
clay and
Yes.
resin crafts, and just being able to just do that and having people. And this really this is not a plug, by the way. I started a business with my arts and crafts, like Hani Maria, available on Shopee. Not a plug, not sponsored. I wish, but no. Yeah, I started that because people were coming up to me or messaging me on Instagram. I said, "Hey, I would love to buy some of your products. I would love to have keychains that look like Filipino street
Yeah,
food."
isaw.
We have isaw, kwek, fishball, banana. Our best sellers like banana Q.
Wow.
Apparently, a lot of people would love to have banana Q as their ano.
I hope they can see this
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
So,
But
yeah, if you again, like Hani Maria, Shopee. But yeah, I was taking commissions before, but I wasn't really confident enough to sell them at a higher market or at a higher rate. And it was my younger sibling's business partner, that said, we can really market this. We can really find this. And I asked some of my friends about it, and they said, you are really talented. And that gave me the validity I need, because sometimes you just need validation. And it's okay. A lot of people are shy about wanting validation, so they do it in a subtle way. But yeah, sometimes I need validation, and I tell my friends, hey, I really need validation right now. Can you tell me that I look good today? And she said, you look
yes,
great.
I agree to that.
Sometimes it's hard because compliments are hard to accept, especially for women. We are trained to be modest and demure, and if someone compliments you, you should just brush it off. And it's hard to accept compliments, especially coming from where I came from a very low self-esteem point of view. But yeah, sometimes you just need validation for either your talents, your skills, your feelings. So yeah, either validate yourself or find other people who will validate you. But first and foremost, validate yourself. Tell yourself, I do, one of the exercises I do is daily affirmations. I have a box. I got it from Pape Melrote. Again, not sponsored.
I have that one also.
The box of daily affirmations, like
Yes.
today is going to be a good day, or
Yes.
or there are some memory verses in there. I
Yeah,
also,
it may sound cliche, but
yeah, but sometimes
really
it's what you need to like pick you up. If
it really helps us.
if it's a hard morning, because sometimes nothing has even happened yet, and I know the day is going to be hard because maybe the hormones, or I didn't get enough sleep. Because again, sleep is a very vital part, especially dealing with depression. Because if you don't get enough sleep, your brain doesn't function, and your brain is fighting two things at once: exhaustion and depression, and that is not a good combination. And yeah, so we were talking about we were talking about validation. So sometimes you just need like affirmations. I do that. I have a random one, so I roll a dice. If it says 10, I would count to 10. The 10th card would be my affirmation for the day. So that's what I do. I just randomize the process.
yeah, I do that as well. And I have this book also that I would just think of a page from 1, for example, that book is from 1 to 30 or 1 to 50, and then randomly I'll pick a number, let's say 7, and then I'll read that part, and that's for me. I think that's what the world or that day is telling me. Yeah, that's what I do as well. And in connection to what you said earlier, like validate yourself, do you have any advice to people who are still in this stage, like battling depression, or who are refusing to seek help?
I think it's pretty obvious. Get help.
Yes.
Just talk to someone.
Please.
Please don't I know this is such a cliche, and I know you've heard this 1,000 times before, and every after school special or cell teacher has told you this, but you are not alone. And there are people in this world who will cry and miss you if you're gone. So just get help. Again, I do not want to wake up in a world where there is one less person. There is one less person, there is one less smile, there is one less friendly face that I could have encountered, that I could have met, that I could have known, that could have inspired countless of stories. Just get help, because even if you're not in the worst parts of it, even if you're not thinking of ending things, there's also this phase of depression that not a lot of people talk about, wherein you're quite toxic. And I don't use the word lightly. And I went through that phase. I'm not going to be all high and mighty and say, no, I just went straight to the depression and sad phase. No, I went through the angry, toxic, self-destructive alienation phase, wherein I would fight with friends that didn't really do anything. Just so I know that if I'm ever successful in what I wanted to do, they wouldn't get hurt that much, because they were mad at me. And it's hard to grieve someone you're mad at. And again, I apologized for that toxicity. And I'm not proud, and I'm not too proud to admit that toxicity really was I was bad. I alienated even family. I stopped talking to some of my siblings. I stopped talking to my siblings. I stopped opening up to my
Like you really
parents.
isolated yourself.
I really isolated myself. So I think there are stages, but personally for me, it was a lot of anger, a lot of toxicity, of being just toxic towards people I cared about. And then there was isolation, and then came the sadness. And that was when I started wanting to seek help. So even if you're not in that stage where if you don't want to get help, check yourself.
Yes.
Maybe you're still in denial. Maybe you don't believe it's depression, but I want you to check yourself. Are you still doing? Is what you're doing still healthy? Is what you're doing still something that you can wake up tomorrow morning and say that I was proud of what I did? Because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be proud of what you did. And just, if you don't want to seek help, if you're not there yet, just don't do anything that would hurt other people. Don't do anything that would hurt yourself. Just you can feel your feelings however you want, but remember that there are better solutions. There are better things that can actually give you fulfillment. That's the thing about ending things, is that they've ended. You don't get the chance to be happy again. And that was one thing that pulled me through. I wanted the chance to feel happiness again.
Yes.
I wanted the chance to feel joy again. And I got that. And it was so... the first time I felt joy after that long span of sadness, I cried. Because there was a long time where I didn't feel like I could feel joy anymore. And it was such a relief. It's like when you there's this I'll make an analogy. If you get injured and you're stuck in a wheelchair for let's say 2 years, and then one day you suddenly realize you can walk again, it's that type of relief, because it's something that you felt I couldn't feel it for a long time. Joy was so, because joy and happiness are two different things.
Yes.
And happiness is fleeting, but joy is this deep, guttural emotion where you just, it's brighter, and it feels bigger, and it lasts longer. And so when I felt joy after that long span of time, it was just something I felt really, I cried just tears of joy because it was such a relief. Because for a long time I thought I would never feel it again. And that was one of the few things that kept me going. No, I need a chance to feel happy again. I need a chance to feel joy again because it's so hard when you're in that space.
Yes, like you owe yourself.
You owe yourself enough. Like I've gone through the worst of it. I've been through the dark. I'm not going to stop now. I'm not going to give up now because there is still a chance for joy. And that's the thing with ending things. It ends. You no longer get a chance for joy. And I'm not trying to be philosophical or theological here, but what if there's no after? You just ended things without a chance of feeling joy. So don't end things.
Yes.
Find help, talk to people, check yourself, validate your own feelings, feel your feelings. Don't just cast them aside. If you're in the phase where you're being toxic to people, maybe you just need to be a little toxic. Maybe you just need to be a little mean. Maybe you just need to be angry at the world and everyone
Yes.
around you. But after that, get help.
Yeah.
Talk
Like,
to people.
you are not a lost cause.
You are not. No one is.
Yes.
I don't believe anyone is a lost cause when it comes to depression. I believe that I am not against. I didn't want to take medication for personal reasons, but I am not against it. If you need medication, if you need that extra chemical help, there is nothing wrong with that. Just you need to get the help you need. It's you. No one else can tell you what help you need. It's up to you to check yourself, get help. Then the professionals will tell you, oh, you need medication, you need therapy, you need exercises. But yeah, that's sort of what I have to say. If you're in that space and you feel like ending things is the best way, it's not, because you're just ending things and you no longer get that chance for joy. You no longer get that chance to see the people you love and the people you, because I don't know, I always saw depression as the absence of joy.
Yeah.
And what kept me going was the promise that I would one day feel joy again. And if I had ended my life at the time I felt like it was the right time to do that, then I wouldn't have felt joy again. It just ended. So yeah, just find your reason to keep going. Maybe it's not joy. Maybe you want to see your little brother graduate college. You want to see your mom you want to buy your mom a house. You want to, or smaller things. You want to go to Boracay.
Yeah.
You want to take a vacation with your friends. Find things to look forward to.
Yes.
Big things, small things. There are days when I don't know if I'm gonna make it till the end of the day, but there are some Chinese food leftovers in the fridge, and I know that will bring me back up. So I just keep going through the day, and it's just, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be small things you look forward to. Find one thing every day to look forward to. Find one thing every 6 months to look forward to. Find one thing in a bigger picture to look forward to. Like, yeah, 10 years from now I'm gonna see my little brother graduate. 10 years from now I'm going to look at my little sister. I'm gonna walk my little sister down the aisle. Things like that. 10 years from now I want to have a family and a house of my own. Make plans, look forward to things, because there was really a time I wasn't looking forward to anything anymore, and that scared me as well, because I no longer had plans. And plans, as I'm the type of person, plans keep me going, because I'm a planner.
Yeah.
But
That's your
yeah.
motivation. And there's always this one person who's proud of you
Yeah.
and proud that you exist. So happy that you exist. You might not know it. They might not say it verbally, but yeah, there's always this one person.
Find your person.
Yeah.
Or your people. There are going to be you'll like I said, you're going to know who will stay, who won't. You're gonna be sad about the people who didn't stay, but you're gonna be so happy for the people who did.
Yes.
Because it's so that means that there are still people who believe in you. There are still people who see potential and see the good in you, that they don't want to lose you.
Yes.
There are people in this world who don't want to live in it if you're not in it. So let's not break any hearts.
Yes.
Let's not crush any dreams. Let's not make anyone's days darker. Just keep holding on.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
This is a very heavy episode.
Yes.
Remind me to put like trigger warnings in the description, because
And the
it's
caption.
just
Yes, but I really hope my friends will listen to this. I'm going to share this link to
Yeah.
them as well.
Because
And
everyone needs to know that they matter too.
yeah, they really matter. Because
Yeah.
I have this friend. She really, my friend really refused to be diagnosed as well, because she believes that it's not real. The depression isn't real, but she's in the position or part right now where she cannot sleep without taking sleeping pills, because we can buy sleeping pills over the counter. And the worst thing is she cannot sleep without a knife under her bed.
Oh.
That's really worst. And we, her friends, we are trying to advise, of course, tell her that seek help, but she's in the point where she's still refusing to seek help. Yeah. And people will disappoint you.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's her trigger. It's what triggers her, the disappointment from people, and that's the reality.
Yeah, people are people.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are disappointing. As much as it hurts, people are disappointing. And you need to put your faith in yourself more than other people. But if you have to put your faith in people, make sure that those people are worthy of that faith. Because people are disappointing.
People will disappoint you. People will hurt you for no reason.
Yes. Because sometimes people are bad. Not everyone is good. And I don't want to generalize, but most people who are bad for no reason. They just woke up and chose violence.
Yes, and that's the thing. We cannot just filter who we talk to, and we cannot just filter who is good or who is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the questions, and we have this. I would like to know, and if you do have thoughts, now share your thoughts about these quotes or lines. Like first is, quote unquote, depression ako nga.
Depression and ako nga is such, I don't want to use the term lightly, but it's such a boomer. It's such a boomer thing. And a boomer is not like, I don't want to be ageist and say like there are certain age brackets about this. No, a boomer is a state of mind, honey. And I try not to use this. I'm very good with maintaining the fact that I don't use this phrase. And if you're listening, if you're a parent or you're an elder or you're just someone in a point of authority and you're listening to this, before we go, because it comes across as judgmental, so before we're judging people for citing depression as their reason for maybe not participating in class or not going to school or not doing their works or not just being a person, before we judge them, let's ask them, why do you think it's tell me about your depression. Why do you feel, do you have any idea why do you feel this way? And the most and it's a double-edged sword because you also need I also don't support self-diagnose,
Yes.
because self-diagnosing can also be very very dangerous, because if you self-diagnose and you're not, and for most people it's not really depression, they're just in a state where they're stressed or they're sad, because depression can be for a long stretch of time. That can be one of the differences. What I tell my students, if they cite depression for a reason, okay, I understand that can be very hard for you, but I will need you to seek help.
Yes.
I will need to refer you to the guidance counselor. I will need you to talk to them. And then, if you can, bring me a note. Because if you're citing depression, then there's something really wrong. And I need you to get help so that we can get better. And then, schoolworks are going to be our second priority. But if you tell me you have depression and you make no, because if you use depression as an excuse, that means that you have been diagnosed.
Yes.
And you're currently seeking
Clinically
help,
diagnosed.
and you are in a place where, oh, I can tell people I'm depressed, I can seek help. Because if you're in denial stage, you're not going to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're not going to get help. And so I always tell my students, are you talking to someone? Can I talk to your parents about this? And sometimes the parents are supportive. They talk to me as well. And okay, so we can come up with a plan how you can deal with this and still pass my class. But yeah, if you cite depression but you're not willing to work with me, maybe you're not in a place where I can help you. Therefore, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be a valid. Well, it is a valid reason, but there's a difference between reasons and excuses.
Yes.
And sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of students think that if they use this as their reason, or if they use depression as their excuse, then that's a valid reason. But and I don't want to invalidate anyone, but I've seen students faking depression. I've seen students faking to the point where they said, oh, I was so close to ending it all last night, and then not even an hour later, maybe a few minutes later, I saw they had my days of the last night they were out with their friends at like some coffee shop. Because a concerned classmate sent me, because I'm not on social media, they sent me a screenshot of that and said, Mom, this is X, Y, and Z's my day, and I heard her say that she was depressed last night and she was all alone and she was about to end it all, but this was posted at 1 a.m. And then she had another my day of hers dancing on TikTok at 3 a.m. So I was like, and this happened a few years, I think at the beginning of the pandemic. And I was just, and that hurt because I wasn't diagnosed then, but I knew people who were diagnosed. I knew people who were depressed, and that sort of felt so disingenuous. Like, why are you using this tragedy? Why are you using this essentially epidemic of mental health issues as an excuse when in reality you just went out with your friends? And so I talked to the student. She ended up admitting that I just wanted to have an excuse because I missed the deadline. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to use this quote ever, because comparing your grief with everyone else's grief is not helpful at all.
Yes.
But I also don't want other people to use the word depression lightly, to use depression as an excuse, as a reason to get out of commitments, to get out of responsibilities. Again, mental health issues or mental illness is not an excuse for you to hurt other people or to lie. because in the end you're gonna get caught.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't compare yourself to others, but also don't diagnose yourself, because it's dangerous in a way that people who are diagnosed are getting the same treatment as those who self-diagnose, and so we're not getting the help that we need as well. We're not getting the awareness that is needed for such a sort of crucial illness. So don't self-diagnose, but also don't compare yourself to others.
Yes. And never ever make depression as a joke.
Yes.
Yeah, some people.
A lot of students who post. I go back to being to the students, because I've been doing this for 5 years, and a lot of students always post things about being depressed, and it always has a pattern of during exams, during completion week, and during card releasing.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that can't trigger your depression. I know sometimes my grades, when I was taking masters, that really triggered some of my depression. But if it really is a chronic problem and it's a constant problem, that those events in school are triggering something in you, I suggest you talk to a counselor. Yeah, because a lot of students are saying, "Mom, because we can't." Well, I self-diagnose because I can't afford to go to a licensed professional. There are hotlines. There are ways that we can get help, get diagnosed, that won't cost much money. Especially for students, you're not gonna get diagnosed at our guidance counselor, but they can help you identify what's happening with you.
Yes.
So that's why I encourage students to always, if you're feeling signs of depression, anxiety, go to our counselor. They can help you. At least you'll have someone to talk to about this. At least you'll have someone to guide you. That's why the guidance is there. A lot of misconceptions about the guidance is you only go there when you're in trouble, but it's not. That's what you go there when you're in. You go to the discipline officer when you're in trouble, and you only go there when it's a valid form of trouble.
Yeah.
And the guidance office, shout out to our guidance counselors, by the way, the real MVPs of this school year, because there are a lot of students have reported feeling signs of depression and anxiety, and they deal with them to the best of their ability. We have thousands of students, and there are only like 6 of them. So yeah, shout out to our
schedules and everything.
They set schedules. They're also in charge of student evaluations.
Yes.
So just big applause, big hand to our guidance counselor staff, because they're the real MVPs of this school year.
Yeah. And next here is a quotation. Save yourself from this corrupt environment. What can you say about this?
Save yourself. Just do it. There is something to say about the difficulty in identifying whether your environment is corrupt or toxic or unhealthy, because it's not as easy to identify as you think it is. And for a long time, I surrounded myself with people who would validate the wrong things. And for a long time, I surrounded myself. I think it was Demi Lovato when she came out of this sort of controversial thing. She came out with the statement saying, if you surround yourself with people who only ever agree with you, no one is going to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. And so you grow up with this complex of, oh, I can do nothing wrong. And it's the same with people who, if you surround yourself with people who you can never do right. Who think you can never do right, or who never agree with you. So just surround yourself with people who are the right balance. Create an environment for yourself that is balanced and healthy for you. Because not all people who are not all health, mental, not all, like I said, not everyone's healthy is the same. um I I am lucky enough now to have friends who will call me out on things I've done wrong, who will validate my feelings, who will praise me when I need praise. Because sometimes you just need someone to tell you you're doing a good job or that you look good today, and that's okay. But if you surround yourself with people who's, I don't really. Someone told me once that, oh, bullying is just my love language. Get help. Seek therapy. That is not a love language.
It's never a love language to bully someone.
Yeah, because I had friends who were like, oh, I'm doing this to you because I love you. I'm telling you all these mean things because you mean a lot to me. No,
it has an impact to
yeah,
that
it has an
person.
impact. I have low self-esteem. You think calling me ugly is going to help with that? No, it's not. Bullying, it can't be your love language. If that's a valid love language, beating you up is my love language. But no, violence is never the
Yes.
answer. But yeah, it's it's sometimes hard to identify because sometimes that's all you have, and no one wants to be alone.
Yeah.
And you've identified, but you still can't get out of it because where are you going to go? Who will accept you? There's this in relationships, in romantic relationships, or in otherwise non-romantic, but in any type of relationship, sometimes there's this toxicity of people making you feel like they're the only person that's there for you, which is so
That's
wrong.
not true.
That's not true because there are so many other options.
Yes.
Like when I had a group of friends from high school, and I've been friends with them for a very long time. And then I realized when we get together, we only ever talk about other people. And then when I got through, when I was getting better, I realized that was no longer my type of environment. So I sought other groups of friends, and I reconnected with some of my my high school classmates, and they were very welcoming. And at first it was awkward because they were the people who we were talking about, and in reality, in hindsight, I don't really realize, or I don't really remember why they were so angry at this other group of people, because they were so nice. They were just genuinely nice. They expressed genuine interest in what I was interested in. Because most of the time I got shut down. If I wanted to play a certain game that involved a little too much effort, they will say, "Oh, that's only for smart people. Stop suggesting that." Yeah, and I didn't want to leave that group of friends because I thought that was my who else would accept me. But yeah, after 15 years, I reconnected with another group that they were friendly to me, and I was at one point with their group of friends. So I reconnected with them. We got together during the holidays, and now we're just casually talking again, and they're interested in what I'm interested in, or they express genuine interest in what I was interested in. So we're just sort of rekindling that friendship. It's not to say I don't talk to my former group of friends. It's just that I've distanced myself from them, and I've explained why. I just told them I just need to have a different mindset at this point. And some of them are understanding, and yeah, like I said, some of them left, and they weren't supportive of it, and I understand that as well. I just want people to know that there's always an option of getting to a healthier, happier place. maybe for some people it's being alone. Sometimes I do things alone myself. I go to malls, I go to museums.
And there's nothing wrong.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to spend time with people, don't be afraid to ask. If you didn't, because I know the pain of not getting an invite. But it's okay if you also ask. The last part about this I would like to say is, I'm a very passionate person. So whenever I feel certain strong feelings, I'm very passionate in expressing those feelings. And people always used to tell me to calm down. And it hurt a lot when people told me to calm down, because it felt like they weren't receptive or accepting of what I was feeling. And so when I found people who would just... The first time I realized this was when we watched a movie, and there was this certain scientific fact that I really liked about the movie. So I went on sort of a tangent and I talked about it really excitedly and really animatedly and happily. And they were just smiling and saying, okay, yeah, no, tell me more about it. And then I realized if I had stayed, there were some people in my life who left, that if they were there to witness that display of emotion, that display of interest, they would have told me to calm down. And now, and the people who I was with when that happened, when I was sort of in an episode of sort of manic, sort of just excitedness, no one told me to calm down. And I don't know if people realize this, but sometimes it really invalidates someone's feelings when they're expressing their feelings and you tell them to calm down. So just, if they're causing a scene, maybe that's the time you just tap them on the shoulder. Hey, maybe we can.
But if they're
really in a happy state, or they just want to be passionate, they just want to talk about something they're passionate about. They want to just express these feelings, whether it's positive or negative. Let them rant. Let them do that, even if other people see, because
like, I'll calm down whenever I want to.
Yeah, sometimes I'm even... Petty is my favorite color. So sometimes if you tell me to calm down, I will make a bigger scene and I will yell louder. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I believe that's it for this session, and I learned a lot of things from you, Jay.
Yeah, and hopefully our audience learns something as well. I hope that they have the strength to keep going, and the strength to seek the help that they need, because it's really just... Sometimes it's just a matter of just keeping on. Just keep going.
Yes, and we will now have the part of the program.
Yes,
that's the answering the question of the month.
Yeah,
right?
my favorite, because none of us know. This is
So
totally
random.
so random.
It's so
So
random.
first, let's spin the wheel. It's like someone asked me what wheel you use. I just use wheelofnames.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a nice wholesome question. How would your parents describe you?
Can you answer it first?
Okay. I think they would describe me as... my mom and my dad, they're both in Canada, and whenever they call, or whenever we're on a video call and they're with other people who I haven't met yet, they do this very Filipino thing of, oh, eto yung teacher ko. So that's the number one description that they use, because they're very... I'm very lucky to have parents who are supportive and quiet, and really proud of me being a teacher, because I think I'm the first teacher in our family.
Oh.
aside from like my mother's side had like great aunts and a great grandmother who was a teacher, but after that, in like 3 generations, I was the first teacher, also the first licensed professional in my immediate family. So I think they're very proud about that. So that's how they describe me. Oh, that this is my ito yung teacher ko. This is my daughter who's a teacher. And recently they've been they've been promoting the business, but they've been promoting it in Canada, so I don't know how I'll get customers that way. But yeah, they're not perfect, but they do their best as parents. So that's how they describe me. They call me their teacher.
Oh, okay. I did not grow with my mom. Grow up with my mom, and I live with my dad, Papa. And how did he describe me? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how my father describes me, but I believe he's proud of me as well.
Yeah, it took a long time for my parents to tell me they were proud of me as well. Yeah, my dad had to go to Canada to say I love you every day, to say I'm proud of you every day, because that's when he felt like, oh, the distance is really putting a toll on my emotional relationship with my children. So I really need to tell them how I feel about them every day. So yeah, I get that. Fathers, there's that stereotypical sort of saying that your father will just, the way your father tells you they love you is a firm handshake.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you have nicknames? Does your dad give?
Yeah.
Do you have a nickname for your dad?
He calls me Iyabe.
Iyabe.
Yeah, because my nickname is Iya, and then I think that's an German term for him. Be. Always with a be. Iyabe.
Iyabe. My mom and my dad called me Aji.
Aji.
Because I couldn't say, because my nickname, because I'm Leia Janelle, so my nickname is LJ.
Oh, LJ.
My childhood nickname was LJ. So if you see, like, there are people in the school who have known me since I was a kid. So if you sometimes hear them call me LJ, that's because they knew me as a kid. So I go by Jade now.
Yeah.
They call me Aji because that's how I pronounced LJ. When I was like 3 or 4 years old, Aji. So yeah. And my dad still calls me his princess.
Wow.
Because I'm
So
I'm
sweet.
effectively the only girl in the family. We have my brother, my older brother, and my younger brother, isang younger sibling. So yeah, he calls me his princess, which is weird because if anyone knew me in person, if you've seen me face to face or in real life, there is nothing princessy about me. But he still calls me his princess.
Still your dad's little princess.
Yeah. Not so.
We will always be.
Yeah, he calls me, and that was something that really stood the test of time, because I'm turning 29 this year, and I'm still his princess, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
You just have to accept it.
I just have to accept it. There was a time I didn't really like it, those teenage rebellious years. But yeah, Aji and princess.
Aji and princess. Mine's always the Iyabe.
Iyabe.
Please, pa, don't call it in public.
Please call me that. Yeah, Mama tries to call me Aji or Aji Mahal in public, and I used to shut it down, but as I got older, it became this term of affection. One of her love languages is also biting. She does this thing where she bites, but her lips would be around her teeth, so it doesn't really hurt.
It doesn't hurt that much.
That Filipino term of giggle.
Yeah.
Which I just found out was called aggressive cuteness in English. So
Aggressive
sometimes they would get really aggressive with me kasi yan nga, nagigigil sila. So yeah, those are my nicknames. But Iyabe is yeah, I'll keep that one in the back pocket.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we cried a lot for this episode.
More than less than I expected to be honest, because I knew the topic going in, and I expected, that's why I brought tissues, and I expected to be more emotional. But yeah, when you, especially about the people and the friends that I've lost, but yeah, it's just I'm at a better place, and so it's not as sore of a subject for me anymore, you know. And I'm at a place where I'm just forgiving and just trying to be positive about it, and that's what the proper help can do.
Yes.
So I think in the description of this episode, I'll be putting the hotlines and websites where we can get help, because it's such an important thing. Sometimes the best way to love yourself is getting the help you need.
Yes.
So
And you deserve that help as well.
yeah, you deserve everyone, I believe, deserves the best.
Yes.
Everyone deserves the best that life has to offer them. And I always tell my students, it doesn't matter where you came from or how you got here. What's important is you're here, and you will keep being here. And you will move on and grow and learn and have all of these chances, but you will keep being here.
Yes.
To experience all of that. We don't need to lose you to realize how important you are, because you are important. You matter too.
Yeah, you matter.
You matter. So I think that's the best way to end this episode.
Yes.
Just a reminder that everyone matters. I matter. You matter. We all matter. We may seem small in the grand scheme of things, but there's this song by Casting Crowns.
Yes.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Even though you feel like a drop in the ocean or vapor in the wind, you matter. Even if you're not religious, you matter. You are important, and you are loved, and people are here for you. You just need to find them. Sometimes people just need to be found.
Yes. And you matter. You really matter. And one day you'll find your equilibrium. You have a purpose here in life. There is a reason why you are here, why you're still breathing. And one day you'll find that equilibrium.
Yes. And I hope and I pray and I wish that everyone listening to this, and even those who aren't, will find that for themselves.
Yes. And that's it.
With that, I hope that everyone stays safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And even if you aren't happy, just feel that, and just be yourself and love yourself the way you want to love yourself.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's all for today.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
We'll see you next month.